So you're ready to start building software, but you need the right tools. Well, today we're going to break down one of the heavy hitters out there, Visual Studio. We're going step by step, from getting it installed all the way to running your very first program. Let's get into it.
Look, starting to code can feel, well, a little overwhelming, right? It's like you're trying to assemble a huge puzzle without the picture on the box. You learn some of the language, but then what? How do you actually turn all that text into a program that works? It's a lot to juggle. Well, thankfully, there's a tool that brings everything you need into one place, the IDE, which stands for Integrated Development Environment. Seriously, think of it as your all-in-one digital workshop. It is about to become your absolute best friend on this coding journey.
So what exactly is an IDE? It's a big fancy term, but the idea is actually really simple. It's one piece of software that combines everything you need. It gives you a smart place to write your code, the tools to actually build and run it, and, this is the most important part, a debugger to help you hunt down and squash those inevitable bugs.
Okay, so here's our game plan. First, we'll get a handle on what Visual Studio really is. Then we'll get it installed and create our very first project. After a quick tour of the main screen, we'll get to the fun part, writing, running, and even debugging our first bit of code. And finally, we'll talk about where you can go from here.
All right, let's dive in. First up, what exactly is Visual Studio? You might have heard of simple text editors, but trust me, this is a whole different beast.
Think of it this way. A simple text editor is like an empty toolbox. Sure, you can write code in it, but you have to go find and add every single tool yourself. The compiler, the debugger, all of it. On the other hand, you've got an IDE like Visual Studio. That's not a toolbox. It's the entire workshop, fully equipped with everything you need, all set up and ready to go from the moment you open it. For a beginner, that is a huge advantage.
Okay, enough theory. It's time to get our hands dirty. Let's walk through getting Visual Studio installed on your computer.
First things first, head over to the official Visual Studio website. You're going to look for the Community Edition. Don't worry, it's completely free for individuals and it is incredibly powerful. Once you download and run that installer, you'll see a screen that asks about workloads. Now this part is really important. For what we're doing today, find the one called .NET Desktop Development and check that box. That gives us all the tools we need. After that, just hit install, maybe grab a coffee, and let it do its thing.
All right, now that it's all installed, let's fire it up and create our very first project. This is like setting up a blank canvas before we start painting.
Once Visual Studio opens up, just click Create a New Project. In the window that pops up, there's a search bar at the top. Just type in Console App. Now, you might see a couple of options, so make sure you pick the one for C#. It's the perfect, simple starting point. Give your project a name. My first app is totally fine. And then just hit Create. That's it. Now, you're going to see these two words right away, Solution and Project. Here's the easiest way to think about it. The solution is like a big binder that holds everything for your application. Inside that binder, you have one or more projects, which are like the different sections or chapters. For what we're doing, it's simple. We just have one project inside our solution. Okay, when you first see the main screen, it can look like the cockpit of an airplane. I get it. There are a lot of buttons and windows, but don't worry. To get started, you really only need to pay attention to 3 key areas. Let's do a quick tour. Right in the center, that big open area, that's the code editor. It's your main workspace. Over on the right-hand side, you'll see the Solution Explorer. That's basically just a list of all the files in your project. And down at the bottom is the Output window. This is where Visual Studio talks back to you, showing you messages, errors, and of course, the result of your program. All right, this is the moment we've been waiting for. Let's write an actual line of code and see it do something. Let's bring this thing to life. In that main code file that opened up, just type this line exactly as you see it. Console.WriteLine hello world. All this little command does is tell the computer to write, or print, the text inside those quotes to the console window. Now, here's where an IDE shows its true magic. We're not just going to run this code, we're going to control it. See the gray margin on the far left of your code? Just click there, right next to the line you just wrote. A little red dot will appear. That's called a breakpoint, and it's basically a pause button that you can put on any line of your code. So check out what happens when you run the code now. Everything just stops right at our breakpoint. See that yellow arrow? It's pointing to the exact line of code that is about to run next. This is the heart of debugging. It lets you literally freeze time so you can look around and figure out what's going on. It's a superpower. Okay, let's put it all together.
Press that big green start button at the top of the screen, or you can just hit the F5 key. A little black terminal window is going to pop up, and you'll see it, Hello World, right there on the screen. And that's it. Congratulations! You have officially written, compiled, and run your very first program.
Now, it might just seem like a few words on a screen, but what you've just done is so much more than that. You've completed the entire development cycle for the first time. That is the single most important step on your whole journey.
So let's just take a second to recap what we just did. You've installed a professional tool that developers all over the world use. You created a new project from scratch, and, most importantly, you wrote, ran, and even debugged your own code. You now get the core power of an IDE. I want to leave you with this one thought. Experts will tell you again and again that the single most essential feature of Visual Studio isn't the fancy colors or buttons, it's the built-in debugger. And guess what? You've already used it. You've taken that first crucial step. Now the only question left is, what will you build next?